Hello and welcome back to the OnlyAccies channel. We're here to give a quick preview for tonight's game against Ross County. But first, we'll talk about our new signing, Bruce Anderson. It's obviously been a lot about him on Twitter. Guys, Brandon, I'll start with you first, man. What is your opinions on Bruce Anderson? Good signing, okay signing, do you think he'll make an impact?
I think due to the circumstances where we went into the deadline day pretty much getting told we're not signing any, so the hopes are sort of shattered just in general. It's just the feeling was down the dumps, then out of nowhere that came about. So it was definitely a better feeling than what I was imagining it was going to be. I think he's brilliant. I don't know that much of him to really judge him. I know his record for the under-20s with Aberdeen was good. He's not really lit it up anywhere else, but the reviews tend to say that he's a good player. I don't particularly think he'll suit our play as an out and out striker because he's 5'8". He's seen as a poacher, so we're going to have to obviously play him with Moyo or Oggy.
Yeah.
But I'm happy we got someone in eventually. It was better than nothing. It was more a relief when we signed him rather than having any general opinions on the actual signing as such. But no, we'll see how he goes. He can't be any worse than what we've already got anyway.
David, what's your opinions on Bruce Anderson?
Yeah, basically carbon copy. Not somebody I've be lying to say I've seen him play. I mean, obviously we've heard his name plenty of times with the reserve league and Football Manager, but it's somebody. I mean, we've, like you've said yourself, someone that we've thought about for the last couple of years. When you look at who's available and who we can go for, I mean, the kind of thing you're hoping for is, and I say this with every signing, is the kind of Tony Andrew effect or the Lawrence Shankland effect, where the guy's clearly got potential. He's not quite found his club yet. I agree with Brandon. I don't think he would work on his own, but at the same time, I don't think Moyo works on his own. I think he needs somebody. So you never know. It could be a perfect partnership, but hopefully this is the chance where this guy finds his club where he performs his best and we reap the benefits of it.
Now, David, on Twitter, you vented some frustrations about the club and about the transfer window, and I know the signing of Bruce Anderson maybe hasn't alleviated all of that. It is somebody and it is somebody wanted, but it's still not enough, is it? We still desperately need more, especially in midfield.
Aye, definitely. I mean, I think, kind of speaking on behalf of majority of Accies fans, we were all really disappointed to see the report from Lanarkshire Live stating that there's not going to be any movement. Now, good thing is that was obviously quite hasty and they didn't write anything off and we got ahead with something. But it's just a kind of frustration where we seem to be on a transfer level. I mean, I looked in one of the comments, it was replied by a Rangers fan. Now, the comment he said, there's nothing wrong with that. It's something that I get quite regularly from friends of mine that are all old firm fans, and they're saying, what else would you expect from Hamilton? But in all fairness, I mean, we have been in the league, for 7 years now. For 7 years, a Premier League team. There's got to be a point where you've been in the league for that long where you've got to start looking to progress further than that. I've been an Accies fan, 25 years, and I've just find myself getting bored with it now. I mean, I'm not stupid. Obviously, we're doing as good as we can do, but we're not making the most of what we're doing just now. We are in our best period. I've been in the Premier League, but it's a hard watch. It's not enjoyable as a fan. With the Craig Whiting scenario a few days back, there may be things in. I've seen things about where he lives and things like that. At the end of the day, there's players choosing to go to championship teams ahead of ourselves, and if we're competing against teams like Wraith Rovers, Dunfermline, we're actually getting to the point where I think, we've got no chance of getting that player, and we're supposed to be a Premiership side.
Brandon, what are your thoughts on that?
Aye, so just the full sort of transfer window, it was clear as day that we were going to have to bring players in.
Yeah.
Even the manager says that some of the players that he has wasn't good enough. So to go through that full window where I don't think we were until the last couple of days of it, we weren't even genuinely linked with anyone. And then when we eventually do sign a player, the manager's got the cheek to say that's been his number one target, which I didn't understand at all. Touching back on the sort of Bruce Anderson, I'd have preferred Craig Whiting personally.
Interesting. All right.
I think he suits our style of play a bit more. He's a big boy. He's fast. He's good at holding the ball up. I thought he would have made more sense, but Rice has brought in Anderson. Fingers crossed he works, but it's imperative that we sign at least one more player, and fingers crossed it's an attacking midfielder or someone that will be able to box player or something like that. It's imperative we bring at least one more in, and I think the fact that they've released 3 players, the depth is bad enough as it is. So no, we definitely need to bring more players in, and it just the full transfer window just sort of voiced the Accies fans' sort of displeasure, and I think the final day when that Lanarkshire Live article came out, that was just the tipping point, and it sort of exploded, and everybody allowed their feelings to come out. But it's not the best of times now. But fingers crossed, Bruce Anderson certainly adds something to the team going forward.
Yeah, I was really disappointed with the window. We knew we needed kind of forward options, and like you said, we weren't linked to anybody until right at the end of the window. Speaking to Glenn, the Aberdeen fan from Red Tinted Glasses, he was talking about how you can't play him as a lone striker. He needs to be up top. Now, we usually do play 2 strikers, but like you said, it highlights more the fact that we need to bring reinforcements in the midfield. If we're sticking with Sterling and a Dolphin, that's not going to give him any service. It already doesn't. Yeah, I was just really disappointed with the window in general. We needed players in, and we didn't bring them in. We know there's obviously free transfers that usually are kind of go to. It's just disappointing that it looks as if the club haven't been doing what they need to do and haven't been working as hard as we would like.
I mean, like I said, people seem to think that as Accies fans we have unrealistic expectations, but we're a well-established SPL side. I mean, the fact that the amount of comments you can see of fans saying, "Look at Livy, look at Livy," but it is a perfect example. They're no any bigger a club than us. They have no bigger a home gate than us. End of the day, people are talking about there's teams in the championship with obviously more resources because of bigger fan bases. But like I said, we still get Premiership prize money every single year. If you look at the difference
It's
between
huge.
that and Championship, it's a huge difference. You're talking there could be a difference of over £1 million for what they make. So it's not like we're completely cash strapped, and we pay a lot less wages. So when it comes to the odd transfer fee, we actually should have a wee bit more money than some of these other teams that are playing SPL wages. I mean, look at some of the signings Dundee have got. Look at the expenses they must have.
I know.
But I just don't get how we can't. I mean, for example, like Brandon said earlier in the month, look at a player like Manny Duku for Wraith Rovers, a guy you can see is clearly performing well. We're a higher division team. Why can't we say, listen, we can give you Premiership football and give him a wage and bring this guy over? He deals up, but that's just
They're just
absolutely.
they're too stubborn in their ways, and to get out of the ways. They pretty much season upon season gamble that it's going to pay off, and we will just stay up by the skin of our teeth. So they think that works. They're not going to change that. They might mention finances and whatnot, but like I always say, the financial implications of us getting relegated, especially in these sort of COVID times, would be far greater than what going out your ways, pushing the boat out a wee bit to just give us a better hope and staying up and securing ourselves even further in the top tier than we already are. And it's just going to benefit us financially, but they just don't want to take that risk. They think, oh, we don't need to push the boat out. We could get an odd win here and there, and we're going to stay up. It's not worth the risk. But as David says, it's just it gets a bit tiring, and I think a lot of fans are just at that point where they feel that the sort of hierarchy have lost kind of interest a wee bit, and I think that's making them lose interest as well.
Yeah, because like you always say, Brandon, you've said it many times on Twitter and that as well. You need to spend money to make money. If we go down, it's going to be terrible for us financially. It's gonna be a really, really serious problem. And so sometimes you do just need to take that risk. You need to spend a little bit of money, get players in that are gonna hopefully give you a better chance of being safe in the division. That long term will be better for the club, and it just seems as if, like you said, the hierarchy just maybe aren't as bothered.
I think we're happy to just survive, and if we do get any better, it'll just be on the chance that we have a bit of luck and certain players come through. But personally, I don't see that happening
You
anytime
can't
soon.
rely on luck, especially when you're in our position of sitting bottom of the table. You can't rely on, oh, I hope Ross County lose today, or I hope Motherwell lose today.
And
You have to take matters into
that's
your
what
own
they seem
hands.
like they done that transfer window,
Yeah.
because if they wanted to get someone in beforehand, they could easily have done it if they just offered them a wage that was expected rather than penny pinching.
COVID can't be an excuse because look at the money that some of the other teams around us have spent and some of the changes that they've made. They're paying wages out. They have the exact same restrictions. And like I said before, we don't have anywhere near the expenses of like a Ross County, but wage wise, what they pay to get players to go up there, or a Motherwell and things like that.
So the
They're not
odd
going to be
the
making that much money.
so the odd random signing to push the boat out, just we're not exactly asking for them to go and spend thousands of pounds a week
No.
on one player. We're just saying give someone an expected wage rather than because of possibly they've not got a club they're at currently, or they're struggling to get a deal elsewhere. So we're thinking, oh, we'll just offer them the bare sort of minimum,
Yeah.
and they'll accept it because they've got nothing else really to go to. With in actual fact, if you just offered them a basic wage that they'd be expected of, I'm sure they'd happily took it, especially in these times. But
Aye, a perfect example of that, and again, I'm just getting it out here because I've not been on a podcast in a while. But a perfect example is like Brandon mentioned with Thomas Robert. Now, obviously, you look at some of the teams linked with him, you know that Accies really don't stand a chance with coming in. But a good example of how that's paid off is Wyndham Fairland went and got Kevin Nisbet for Wraith Rovers. They seen a guy clearly performing at a lower level. They knew full well if they get this guy, they're going to have to spend money to do so, and he's not going to be there for long. But they got there, they reaped the benefits of that with one season, the good form and lots of goals. They then made their money back. Like you said, you've got to spend to make money. So if we actually go in there, now Thomas Robert's contract's up in the summer, like you mentioned, it's at what? You could probably get him for what, 30, 50,000 pounds. Money that we spent on Tunde. I've read that that was the best part of 50 grand. You could get a great year at him and then sell him on for much more, because none of your young players, let's be honest, none of them are going to be making as much money going forward like the previous crop have.
I said to the Aberdeen fan today, I think they're scared to sign young players because they think it will be a detriment to the development of our young
tarnish their
players.
sort of high.
Exactly.
It'll tarnish the stick that we're this youth sort of conveyor belt team that brings through all these youth. But then if I go and sign someone else, it just makes it sort of contradicts themselves. Aye,
Absolutely.
but they shouldn't think like that if they do, because many teams have great youth systems, and they'll also buy young players so they can sort of nurture the needs and sort of make them a better player. So aye.
I mean, in my opinion, it's like you said, they can have good youth academies and that, but see if you see a talented youngster, you shouldn't go, oh, we could have a talented youngster with us, let's not worry about him.
Aye.
If he's there and you can take him and he's a talented youngster, you take him. Like that to me is
you'll make your money back on these.
Yes, you know you're going to sell them on and make a profit. So, listen, maybe I'm being naive, but I don't think that's a huge thing. I really honestly don't. I really don't think that's a big
They
thing.
just don't like to speculate to accumulate. They just really don't like doing that. They don't like spending money.
Like you say, if we do progress any further than this, it will be through the luck of we just happen to bring through an incredible talent or anything. It's not like we're trying to progress in any way. Like I say, the success that we had with Alec Neil was we just happened to make those changes and they benefited the way that they did. We
It was
didn't
no
try.
us attempting to.
We didn't try to beat Aberdeen and Celtic at Parkhead to go top of the league. That is just how the cookie crumbled with the way things were, and that's as good as it's going to get. And like the two, you know me, I'm not a negative person when it comes to the Accies, but it's just a fact of what you're saying is where are we actually going here? You know what I mean? Like it's just. There's, like I say, 7 seasons. It's got to get to a point where you think, right, we need to try and better this. Because if, like, even us in our day-to-day jobs, the gaffer would be saying to you, right, you've been here 7 years now. You need to start, you're doing well, but you need to start seeing what you can do to progress yourself. And we're just not even going to consider that.
Going into the game tonight, a huge game. Anything other than 3 points simply isn't good enough, in my opinion. We've got players coming back from injury, which will hopefully help. But simply put, it's a battle at the bottom of the table. It's huge, and it's a game that we need to win.
It's a 6-pointer. Simple as
Yeah.
that. That's exactly what it is. Biggest game of the season without a shadow of a doubt. I just hope he doesn't go into the game with the exact same mindset which he has been in the past God knows how many games, and John Hughes reads him like a book. I hope he changes it up slightly. They're down there with us. There's no point in playing into their hands. We saw how the game went up at Ross County. Although we won that game, they could have easily got something out of it.
Yeah.
The possession was 70-30. The amount of shots they had to us was ridiculous. And that's because we allowed them onto us and we're playing the 7-1, the 7-1-2 formation. I hope he just changes up slightly, but I've not got much hopes in him doing that because I think he's just stuck in his ways too much.
You've got to look at County's last 2 results haven't been great. Obviously beat off Motherwell and pumped off Rangers, but the game before that, what was it, 4-1, Aberdeen they beat. So they are capable and they do have some decent players, but it's all about, I think it's all about us. If we play properly and set up properly, we can win that. But I mean, it just depends. It just feels like any victory now. Like, look at the Motherwell game. That was down more to Motherwell than us. We need to take it into our own hands this time and win because of us.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, we've heard reported there are players coming back. We know Nathan Thomas, for example, is coming back, and players like him need to start for me in this game. You have to drop people like Sterling and Moyo, in my opinion. I think just throw Anderson straight in there. Anderson and Augie up top would work for me fine. It's not as if he's unfit. He's been the first half of the season. He's been at Ayr. He's been involved in the Aberdeen squad, so it's not as if he's unfit. He's ready to go. I say let's give him a chance. Drop Moyo and drop Ben Sterling in the midfield as well for me.
So who comes in for Ben Sterling?
I think if you're sticking with that same formation, I would like to see, if he's fit, obviously Scott Martin. If not, I would like to see a change in formation. I would like us to go 4 at the back with 2 holding, in my opinion, and that gives you kind of maybe more freedom up top.
Understandable. I think, to be realistic,
I don't think he will. But that's what I would like to
No,
see.
of course. No, I totally agree with you. I think we need to sort of change it up somewhere or other. If he sticks with the 7, John Hughes isn't daft.
No.
So I think that's how we do need to sort of take it into our own hands and sort of mix it up slightly compared to what we have been. I'm not saying let's go 4-2-4, 4-3-3, full blown attack them. I'm just saying slightly change your management of the game and how it's going to pan out. That's what I'd say. But I think he won't. He'll stick with the same formation we've been seeing. And if he's going to do that, I think 2 changes are the minimum we need. And as you mentioned him, I think Moyle needs to come out the team just because he's not been at it at all this season, and Ben Sterling just doesn't offer anything to me at all. I suppose, like you said, Scott Martin, if he's fit, aye, but I don't know. I'd like to see Mibna get a shot
I've seen a few
for
people say
Sterling.
that, yeah.
I would like to see him have a chance because he's a deep line playmaker. I'd say his best sort of way to describe him as, and so it's not as if he's going to be any further forward than what Ben Sterling's been playing, but he's got the vision to pass a ball.
Yeah.
So I would like to see that, and like you says, bring in Anderson for Moyle. But it's what we say we want is a completely different story to what we'll actually see.
Like you just said there, it's just about how he looks at the game. We see that as a game that we really need to win, whereas he'll see that as a game as we really can't lose. So
and that's the poor mindset. That's if we're a bit more positive than our mindset has been, who knows? how many extra points we could have got this season.
Exactly.
Dundee United, for one, for me, 3 points was there for the taking. Bit of positivity and good game management rather than like-for-like changes and just sitting there happy to take a point rather than getting an additional 2. Who knows where we could be. So fingers crossed he goes into this game with a bit more savvy. I've not got much hope, but we'll see what happens.
I mean, I don't know, man. I think it's a game really can be winning. But like you said, it's all about the mindset. Like you just said, having Mimno and that guy that can maybe pick that one pass that a guy like Bruce Anderson can run onto, or will he go with a guy like Ben Stirling that can sit in front of the back four and punt any ball away that comes near him
We're
for
not
extra?
we're not going to get the benefits of Bruce Anderson playing the way in which we have been with this big punting the ball up the park. We need to create for him to score. Same way our strikers as well. We need to create for them to score. We're not doing that now because there's pretty much a non-existent midfield. That's the whole reason. We need a bit more creativity in the middle of the park rather than the sort of stability he's trying to have with Ben Stirling. But it's a lot more than stability he's got there. It's just complete negative football. You need to find the sort of middle ground, which we've been trying to talk about, between no getting pumped every game to scraping games, the skin of our teeth, whether we get a point, we get a win, or we get beat with a couple of goals just because we're risking it. So
Aye.
We need to go against the characteristics. I mean, I remember I was working when the Dingwall game was on. I remember seeing the highlights and seeing both the goals when they're both actually strikes, like almost out the box. I think the Callahan one might have been out the box, maybe wrong.
Just outside it.
But you're just thinking, like, we don't have attempts like that. Why the fuck not? Because there you go, 2 times it's happened. I mean, I very rarely for years, I've always said Aki's just try to walk the ball into the net.
look at Scott Martin. Look at his run he's made. He's starting run. He's actually took on players. Do you know what I mean? And that's what you need. Have a go. You just don't do that with Aki's. It's just this season it's been either set piece goals or penalties. That's what it's really been.
And the question I'm about to say is probably going to add another hour onto the podcast. But when Brian Rice came, he talked about all this attacking football. And this going at them and have a go. I haven't seen us do that at all. Like, not on a regular basis. I mean, tomorrow, County are coming down for Dingwall. I take it they'll be travelling down on the day. I'd be saying to them, listen, if you've got Nathan Thomas, if you've got somebody like Anderson, who he said is a penalty box striker, then fucking use them like that then.
Yeah, I agree.
Get them for the start, straight away, so they're not expecting it. Don't just start the game sitting off and doing our usual style. I really hope we mix it up slightly the more. I'm not saying go and attack them with all your power. I'm just saying mix it up a bit. So I don't know. I just want. I think this game's huge, and just the way everything has been recently, everything's been pretty doom and gloom. I hope they completely change that tomorrow, because the difference in our support if we get 3 points a day doesn't. Everything that's sort of been happening behind the scenes and not on the pitch, when we get the 3 points, none of that really matters.
Yeah, I mean, I can see him doing what he's done. It's disappointing, but I can see him doing exactly what he's done the last few games. He'll start up defensive and deep. Fingers crossed he doesn't concede a goal, and later on in the game, that's when we'll maybe see the likes of Nathan Thomas and that. I just hope, like you said, we mix it. I hope we start Anderson. I hope we start Nathan Thomas if he's fit. And I hope we just try something different, man. Just to give us a different edge. And like you said, it's John Hughes isn't an idiot. Do you know what I mean? And Brian Rice said that today. They know each other kind of inside and out. So try something different from your usual style.
Do something you wouldn't usually do.
Yeah.
And if it doesn't work out, then so be it. But let's be honest, Ross County are going into this game and they pretty much already know Aki's game plan.
Yeah.
So by changing it up, I just don't see it having a massive detrimental effect. I think it could only be a good thing if we change it up. But
I think Ross County, they're coming into this game obviously in pretty much the same situation as us. There's only a point difference. So they're coming in knowing this is a major game for the relegation battle. They know if they win, they're kind of leaving us cut adrift at the bottom. So that's obviously good for them. But they'll be coming in with a much more positive mindset than we will. they'll be coming in thinking, well, Aki's our bottom. We can go here. I know they beat us last time, but we dominated that game. We take some chances. We'll get goals. Whereas it feels as if we're going into this game, oh, fingers crossed we don't lose. And like Brandon said, it just highlights to me the difference in mentality in teams around us. We're going in with a negative mindset, and they're going in with a positive one.
We can all agree how poor we've played at times against the teams around us, like the previous defeat at New Douglas Park to Ross County, the home game against St Mirren. We haven't been blown away by these teams, and we know how off par we've been. If we actually try something different, I mean, I do think, guys, that Nathan Thomas is actually a very, very good player, a very direct player. He needs to be exploited more for what he's good at. If Bruce Anderson, end of the day, the guy's got a good record at reserve level, so he's obviously got something there. So play to the guy's strengths. We need to start changing something. Like you say, we're not that far adrift. I feel like that's the way they'll be saying, oh well, we're in February, we're not that far adrift. End of the day, what we've been doing is got his bottom, regardless if we're adrift or not. Change it up.
Yeah, I agree.
The fact we are no adrift just shows how sad the state of affairs the rest of Scottish football is, because it is a miracle that we're in touching distance. That's all I can say.
Exactly. We've not been well beaten by the teams around us. We need to, like you say, it is in our hands. If we play better, we actually could be very comfortable. It's just
defensively, we're absolutely sound. I'd say we're actually one of the better teams in the bottom six, defensively wise. It's just, like I say, getting that sort of happy medium.
Yeah.
Like I say, it's all about how we do offensively, and I think we do actually have players that can perform. I mean, let's not kid on. Moyo and Ogbo have been awful this season, but Ogbo especially, we know this guy can perform. So clearly there must be a combination. It's the style of play. It can't just all be down to the guy being lazy or no interested. Something must not be working for him. So change something about.
I'm going to ask for a score prediction. Brandon?
1 each.
1 each. All right, David?
I'm going for 1-0. Accies.
I'm going to go 2-1. I do think they'll score, but I'm going 2-1. 2-1 Accies.
We just need to be positive, because I think if we get beat or get a draw, it'll be down to ourselves and how we've not set up properly. A team like Ross County, they've got decent players, but they're not going to fucking blow us away. You know what I mean?
Aye.
So we need to approach it right. We're running out of time. Like you say, they could easily fucking call the league next week, and it'll be where you're sitting there. So look at that, how much difference that 1 week last year made to our season. So we need to start treating it a bit more urgently now as well.